all the information in our chats. So please welcome the greatest, Chris De La Cruz.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's the summer of 2004. It is the summer before 8th grade, and it's the middle of July, so it's that time where students we haven't seen each other in a while. The only way we've contacted is either through AIM, taking us back, AIM, or on Zanga, where it was very popular at the time. I grew up in Dayton, Ohio, so in suburban Ohio, and amongst my friends, Zanga was very popular. So it was either you were talking over AIM or you were reading people's journals, essentially, where you just like talk about your day on Zanga, these blog posts. And that's all we were having for communication. But in July, we were waiting for this moment where we would all get together because it was going to be Sydney Arnett's birthday party. Now, Sydney Arnett was the most popular girl in school. She was dating, she was so cool. She was dating a high schooler at the time. Like, that's how cool she was. And her birthday was going to be happening at a country club. So it was like this like dance party that was going to happen. And I was excited to be there and excited to see all my friends at that dance party. So everyone's getting excited for it. And for me, to understand where I was and kind of like the social status of school, I was definitely friends with all the popular kids, but what happened was all my friends had shot up in size, all my guy friends. So I was kind of the short friend amongst my friends, and that wasn't working well for me, let's say. But what I could do, now mind you, I grew up I was in a predominantly white school. So when there was a dance party, I was king of the dance floor. I was the only one who really had rhythm. So I knew that at this dance party, I would kill it. So I was excited, I was pumped, but also I always was trying to fit in. Like I was always struggling to fit in some way. And so when they said it was a country club that this was gonna be happening in, I was nervous. Like I didn't know what to wear exactly. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be formal or whatnot, but my dad is an incredible dresser. So he dressed me up to the nines. He had me in this blue Oxford shirt, and he had me in these khaki pants that were all pressed and perfect. And so I go to the party, and I'm there, and I'm feeling nervous, and I'm like seeing all my friends who I haven't seen in a month, but it feels like it's been like a year since I've seen them. And some kids look different, some have braces now, and so you're just like gauging yourself on the dance floor, right? And so I'm there, and I'm waiting, and I'm specifically waiting for my song. And it's summer of 2004, so my song is Usher's "Yeah." That was my jam. Like I could totally dance to that song, and it was like I knew the dance moves. I would like watch the music video all the time. So I was just waiting for that song to come on. So I'm there and I'm sitting on the outskirts, like just waiting for that song, listening to the music, everyone's talking to one another. And immediately when I go in though, I realized that I'm already out of place because though I thought it was formal attire everyone was wearing, everyone was just kind of wearing regular clothes. And I wasn't sure it was that regular because Sydney Arnett, the most popular girl in school, she was actually wearing a white t-shirt that across her chest said censored. So it was like she was like really high fashion at the time. And it was like, we're all like 13, 14, but like she's like high fashion at the time. So we were like it was like a middle school Met Gala really. And so I'm there all dressed to the nines, feeling already pretty awkward. And so I'm off to the side, just kind of like eating these chicken fingers. I eat a lot of these chicken fingers on the side because I'm like nervous eating as I'm waiting for my song to come on. And all of a sudden, my stomach starts to feel a little weird from the chicken fingers. Like I feel a little gassy and a little bloated. And so if you were in middle school, like the worst thing you could do is fart. Like middle schoolers are ruthless when it comes to someone farting. They do not make it calm. They immediately like, ugh, and they want to point you out immediately. And so I'm terrified. I'm like, I have to fart, but like, I don't know what to do. And I don't know why the idea of like going to the bathroom didn't hit me, because the first idea that came up was, oh, I'm going to have to do this on the dance floor so no one will know it was me. That was the brilliant idea I had. And then lo and behold, Usher's "Yeah" comes on. And I'm like, now's my chance. I only have 3 to 4 minutes to really show my stuff. So I gotta go into this dance floor. So I go onto the dance floor and I'm kind of like farting a little bit along the way, crop dusting as they would call it. And so I'm going across and letting one loose here, letting one loose there, letting one loose here. And then all of a sudden I realized that I let loose a little more than a fart and I've pooped my pants. on the dance floor. So immediately, I just keep walking. Like, you're like, you see me dancing, like, to Usher's, yeah, and then all of a sudden I do it, and I'm like, and I just walk straight to the bathroom. I am mortified. I don't know what to do. I've just pooped my pants on the dance floor of Sydney Arnett, the most popular girl's birthday party at a country club. I run to the bathroom. I go into the bathroom, and the situation is that there's the sink, there's a urinal, and there's only one stall. So I go into the stall immediately. I'm there. I'm like so nervous. I immediately, like, I take off my pants. I throw away my underwear. Fortunately, nothing's on my pants, but it still smells awful in the room now. And so then I'm there. I'm in the stall, and I'm like, I have to clean myself somehow. But I'm afraid that someone will walk in while I'm going out the bathroom. So I'm trying to like time it perfectly. I open the door. I go to the sink. I get soap. I put it on myself. I run back in. I stay there, and I call my parents. I'm like, Mom, Dad, you have to pick me up. They're like, why? I'm like, I pooped myself at Sydney Arnett's birthday party. So they're like, okay, but we're 40 minutes away. We live 40 minutes away. And the party's gonna end in 40 minutes anyway, so I'm gonna have to stay there no matter what. So I stay in the stall, and I remember people would come in and check in on where I was. And of course, Sydney's high school boyfriend comes in, Kyle Franklin, the coolest guy, comes in, and he's like, oh, what smells like shit? And I'm like, it's vomit. I vomited. I'm sorry, I vomited. And he's like, oh, God. And so people keep coming in. I'm nervous as hell in this bathroom. And so I just waited out to the end of the party. Finally, it's the time for the end of the party. I get out. I like say my goodbyes, very like distant from everyone. Sydney's mom tries to hug me. I give her like a butt out hug. I'm feeling so mortified. My parents are there. Fortunately, they go pick me up. Go into the car, and immediately they start laughing. And I'm angry. I'm so angry at them that they're laughing at this situation. And they're trying to convince me, like, come on, Chris, come on. You know, like, you have to see the humor in this. And by the end of it, I'm laughing with them. And I'm laughing about it. But then I go home and I realize, oh no, I have to deal with all my friends now and explain to them what happened. And people are IMing me and they're asking, like, hey, Chris, where were you? Like, what happened, man? You left like in the middle of the party. Like, where'd you go? People were saying you were sick, all this stuff. And they didn't know what to say. I was like, And so that night before I go to bed, I go on my computer and I'm like, okay, the only thing I can do right now is let everyone know what happened. So I'm going to write a post on Xanga about how I started at Sydney Arnett's birthday party. And so I wrote it out in total in this Xanga post. Spent the whole night writing it, posted it, went to bed feeling nervous. Because I was like, what did I do? Wake up the next morning, I check, and the comments are like blowing up. Like, people are thinking this is the most hilarious thing ever. And they're not necessarily laughing at me, they're laughing with me. And they're like relating to it. They're like, oh, like that reminds me when I did this, blah, blah, blah. This is so funny, blah, blah, don't worry about it. And it felt this sense of relief. And now I look back at this moment that I think it was one of my most embarrassing moments ever, and realize that it's kind of the first moment I ever started storytelling. And when I finally realized, like, I love just sharing stories about myself, especially awkward and embarrassing ones, because of the response people have to them. So I owe my storytelling career to pooping my pants at Sydney Arnett's birthday party. Thank you.
Woo! Great job.
That's such an amazing story. And I think like everyone has some kind of poop story, including me.
Yeah, I've got one. I'm not ready to share it yet, I think.
I'm ready. Like, I listened to Chris' story and I'm like, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready, and next time it's coming.
All right, next week.
There you go. I hope I inspired awkward teenage stories to release poop stories, all of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris, do you want to plug in something else to promote something else?
Yeah, as Anastassiya said, we will be doing Mad Late. We're doing it now. It's not every weeknight, but it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So tomorrow night, if you go on my Instagram at Chris_DLC_, we go live at 10 p.m. It's a totally improvised late night show. The audience submits the headlines for the monologue. They submit the stories for the desk bit. And then on Fridays, we choose someone from the audience to be the celebrity guest. So it could be any of you all. So come join 10 p.m. tomorrow on IG.
Awesome. Great. I loved it. Yeah. So definitely follow it. Yeah, I said everyone can see your show tonight, but now tomorrow. But it's okay. All right, lovely story, lovely beginning. Let's move on. And our next storyteller is Grant Bowen. And he's actually one of the co-producer of this show, Awkward Teenage Years. And he's a regular storyteller on this show, Awkward Teenage Years. But he also, we've seen him everywhere. We've seen him on The Moth. We've seen him on The Nights of Our Lives. We've seen him on the show Adam Waite's, Adam Waite from New Hampshire show. So we've seen him everywhere. And definitely his solo show, which named A Public Prayer, debuted back in like November. And hopefully it's gonna come back once we all come back and can go outside. So definitely check his Instagram and everything. It's gonna be in the chat. But let's welcome to this digital stage the magnificent Grant Bowen.
Thank you. Anastasia, you're giving me everything I want. So by the end of my 7th grade year, I was looking for a new fine arts class. I had been in the band and I was playing the tuba. So as you can imagine, that got old real quick. And unfortunately, like our middle school didn't really do school plays, and I wasn't really interested in like the visual arts class, like painting, but I've always liked singing. And so I thought, I like singing in the church choir. Why don't I sign up for the concert choir here at school? And plus another selling point was our teacher, Mrs. Hughes, was already a friend of the family. So it was kind of encouraging to know I'd be taking a class with someone I know. That ended up being one of the best decisions I've ever made, because to this day, Mrs. Hughes is the greatest teacher I've ever had. She taught for the middle school and high school concert choir. So when I joined in 8th grade, I stayed on until I graduated high school. And her class was so much fun. Like she taught us all this stuff about music theory and sight reading. And we always worked on all this beautiful music. Then all our voices came together in these like gorgeous 4-part harmonies and everything. And she inspired us all to work hard and work together, which was really valuable. And I've had good teachers before, but where Mrs. Hughes really went above and beyond was that she had a vested interest in who you were personally. Like she wanted to get to know who you are and help you figure out who you wanted to be. And on that personal level, she was there for me so many times. Like I'd be going through a breakup and she'd set aside time in class to just talk to me one-on-one and let me express how I was feeling. One time we took this big trip to New York, and she knew that like moving to New York was my life's dream. So she was showing me all the sights and going, take all this in, look at it and everything. And there was one time where she was there for me in a really unexpected way. At the end of every school year, we did this big choir concert. We'd go through all the music we'd been working on throughout the year, but Miss Hughes made it fun. She was like, if anyone wants to do a solo or a duet, we'll make that part of the concert. You know, anything you want to do, as long as there's no cursing in it, anything you want to sing, just bring me the sheet music or the karaoke track or whatever, and we'll make it part of the show. Now, ever since I've been able to draw breath, I've been a Broadway nerd. It's been my obsession. I'd be in the car, like blasting cast albums, or I'd constantly be looking for like new shows to discover. In senior year, I had just discovered the musical My Fair Lady, and I really fell in love with the song On the Street Where You Live. Now, if you haven't heard it, it's a beautiful song, these soaring notes and melodies, and it's this big romantic ballad about this guy who he's fallen in love with this girl, and he is willing to wait out on the street in front of her house so he can see her again. And if there's one thing I knew in high school, it's that stalking was romantic. So I was really excited about this song, and I thought, I know I can sing this well, I know I can have fun with it, I should talk to Miss Hughes about doing it in the concert. And then I brought it up to my parents later, and my parents offhanded, just not making a big, like just kind of went, you know, you're always singing this Broadway stuff. Have you ever thought about singing something else? Now, they said it as casually as I just said it, but in my anxiety-ridden, hormonal teenage brain, it sounded like they were saying, we're sick of this Broadway stuff. Sing something else, for God's sake. So I got really self-conscious about it. I was like, maybe people are sick of the Broadway stuff. Maybe I should sing something else. So I started thinking about it. It's like, what else do I like? Well, I like classic rock, and I love Queen. So maybe I should sing something from Queen. Now, as you've probably figured out, I don't sound anything like Freddie Mercury. But the one song I found that was kind of comfortable in my voice was Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And it's a nice song. It's a fun song, but it's like, it kind of stays in one mode. And it doesn't really go anywhere because like half of Queen's songs, the lyrics are utter nonsense. So I'm thinking, I'm second guessing. I'm like, what am I going to do? Like, is this really the song I'm going to sing? And then later in the week, I'm talking to Miss Hughes, and she's like, hey, the concert's coming up. Are you going to do another solo? And I just confide in her. I'm like, look, I was thinking of singing On the Street Where You Live, but then my parents said something that maybe I should sing something else. And now I'm looking at this Queen song, and I don't really know. And she stops me, and she goes, is On the Street Where You Live what you really want to sing? And to my surprise, without hesitation, I went, yes. And she goes, then you should sing it. Never let anyone make you feel bad about what you want to do, especially if you're passionate about it. And in that moment of her telling me that, I just remember feeling so seen. Like not only did someone get me, but she knew who I wanted to be, and she was telling me it was okay. So I went home later that day, and I'm talking to my parents, and I went, you know, I've been thinking about it, and I really think I am going to sing On the Street Where You Live. And my parents went, okay, that's fine. And I just felt embarrassed that I realized they didn't really care in the first place. So night of the concert comes. It's time for my solo. I hand Miss Hughes the sheet music. I take center stage. I look to her at the piano to tell her I'm ready. And she gives me this look that tells me that she's proud of me and that she's in my corner. And I just remember standing on that stage in front of that audience as I sang the words, people stop and stare, they don't bother me, because there's nowhere else on earth that I would rather be. Thank you. Uh-oh, Anastasia, we can't hear you.
There you are.
Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Hey.
Amazing, amazing story. I think like all of us have those teachers, you know, that pushed us, you know, through high school or college, and we're all very thankful, or through storytelling. So we're all very helpful, very thankful to our teachers.
Oh yeah, no, she's the best. She really is.
Yeah, awesome, great. Do you have anything to plug in?
I'm riding this out like the rest of us, so keep coming back for more shows. We're gonna try to keep doing them as much as we can. So thank you all so much.
Awesome, great. All right, so let's move on to the next storyteller. Is Marina Petrova. And she's relatively new to storytelling. And she's originally from Russia. And last September, she made the mistake of moving from New York to the West Side. I mean, she tells her stories in the mosque on the West Side, like over there. But today we welcome her here on the East Side to tell her stories. And usually Marina spending her days working in the office, but the spare time she's knitting, which is conveniently a very useful hobby during this time, so hop in. But let's please welcome here to our digital stage, Marina Petrova!
Awesome. Thank you so much. In the spring of the 7th grade, it was back in Russia where I grew up. I was excited because my cousin gifted me her old sneakers. They were bulky by some unknown brand. They were white, almost white because they were pre-owned, but they were still in a great condition. And they became my second pair of sneakers, in addition to the ones that I had and wore every day to school since the beginning of the school year, so September of the previous year. And I was absolutely sick of those old shoes already. And I can't stress it strong enough that clothes was very important for me in the 7th grade. I was growing up in a family that struggled financially, like many people in Russia in the 1990s. So my parents could only afford to buy me very basic things. Normally, for instance, I would get one pair of jeans for the whole school year, and I would wear the same jeans every day until they fall apart 1 year after. So I was very excited about this sneakers. And the situation with not having much clothes didn't help with my self-confidence. At school, I was a big nerd, very shy. I didn't have any close friends, but I noticed that all the popular girls in class wore makeup, had nice outfits. So I believed that in order to have friends or have a shot at being popular, I needed to have nice clothes. And the sneakers made me closer to my goal because new clothes was everything I was dreaming about. For school, I had to decide whether I will wear them as my outside shoes or inside shoes. So schools in Russia had a rule that students have to bring a pair of chain shoes to the classes because there was no budget to hire cleaners. And in fact, we students had a duty to stay after classes and wash the floors in our classrooms. And I chose to wear them as my outdoor sneakers because outside more people can really see my new old sneakers. And normally, every day on my way to the classes, I would leave my jacket and a bag with my shoes in the coach room. But one day, I stayed late after classes. And when I got to the coach room, it was otherwise empty. And I only saw my jacket hanging there. The bag with my shoes was gone. I panicked, but I figured no one would steal old sneakers. Someone probably grabbed the bag by mistake in a huge hurry to get out of school when the bell rang. But the next day, they still were not there. And I started getting really nervous. I searched every corner in the coach room, in the classrooms. I started even asking around, but no one, of course, knew anything. And what was worse than that is my mom at home noticed that the shoes were gone from the shoe rack, and she asked me about them. And I didn't know how to tell her that I possibly lost a valuable item. I didn't even know how she would react because I was a good kid. I never screwed up. Screwing up with my brother's job, I never screwed up. So I didn't know if she would get angry or upset. So I told her that I left them at a friend's place. But after this, I was so stressed, I couldn't sleep anymore. And at school, I had to sneak into the building without having changed shoes, which was already stressful. And as my last resort, I went to the Lost and Found, which was in our teacher's lounge. And I kept going there every day until the teachers got so annoyed, they told me, Marina, if no one brought them in the first few days, you will never find them. And just like that, with my teacher's help, I lost any hope, but I still didn't know how to tell my mom. And then I came up with a solution. I decided I'm going to write a confession letter and run away until things calm down. But the problem was I didn't have any close friends, so I didn't have anywhere to go to. But to my luck, a new popular girl in class, Christina, invited me to hang out at her place sometime. I was very excited because she was a cool girl, one of those with nice clothes, and also because I thought this is my chance. And I wrote a confession letter explaining what happened and asking for forgiveness. And one afternoon, I prepared to leave the apartment and I put a piece of paper on the floor near the living room where I knew my mom would notice it. But since my mom was home at that time, she noticed it right away and I saw she had to pick it up. I got really scared. I stormed out of the apartment and I rushed to my classmate's place. And Christina's apartment was, of course, very nice. She had a huge TV. We spent a day watching daytime TV shows and comedies. And then she said, hey, I have this VHS I found my parents were hiding, which was PG-13. But I thought, there's no way I want to do anything else I could get in trouble for. Possibly ever, but at least today. So I said no and watched some more TV. And all of a sudden, it was late. It was around 11 p.m., dark outside, and I never stayed out that late before. So I had no more options left. I dragged myself slowly back home, and when I got to the apartment door, I very quietly turned the key, hoping that my parents were asleep and I don't have to face them. But they were awake and waiting for me in the kitchen, and I heard my mom exclaimed, she's back, and she rushed to meet me. My heart dropped, and she came to me and she said, were you so worried about those Snickers? You can't do anything about it now. Don't even worry about it. So she wasn't angry, she wasn't upset, and that night I was finally able to go to sleep, feeling like the happiest person in the world. That's it. Thank you.
Nice, very, very nice story.
The PG-13 movie, the ultimate act of rebellion.
I also appreciate that on your backdrop you have typical Russian high school.
This is actually my school. I found this picture. This is the school I went to in the 7th grade.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
they
very
all,
fancy, but
yeah, and they all kind of look the same because they build the same type of buildings. So basically, I recognize my school even though I'm from Kazakhstan. But yeah.
I feel like that could easily be a school in Brooklyn too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, Marina, tell us where to follow you, what's news going on, what to plug in.
Like you said, I'm very new to storytelling. I only took a couple of lessons from Adam Wade, who's amazing, and I highly recommend his classes. But otherwise, I recommend everyone else from these people you see on the screen. They're all fantastic storytellers, and they do this regularly in New York. So definitely check them out at the Moth or their own shows.
Yeah, thank you. Amazing story. Thank you so much. All right, before we can move on to the next storytelling, we have a public announcement. So, please, so this this show obviously is free, but if you want to support all the places that support us, please do. First place is the Frigid New York. It's a theater where we actually started our show, Awkward Teenage Years, and we performed the show as a part of their Frigid Festival 2020 in February and March. So definitely, please, please, please support this theater, which is closed. In any type of theater right now is closed due to quarantine. But if you want to please support them, there's a few ways. You can definitely go on their website, which is frigid.newyork.com, and where you can buy tickets for the future shows. Or you can also donate. As you can see, we have their Venmo and their Patreon. If you want to, put some extra bucks for the theater, and definitely just follow them on the social media. It's amazing organization, and we had such an amazing time when we presented our show during their festival. Next theater is the Magnet Theater, and this is I just want to point that all the storytellers today, including me, took some classes at Magnet Theater, improvisation and storytelling classes. So we definitely are related to theater very much. but you can also can donate to their basically online hat, which is you can go to their Twitch account where they have shows actually every day on their Twitch account, and you can buy a ticket or you can see their show online for free, but also just drop a few bucks as a tips for their amazing shows. But also you can go to donate to go to their magnet thetheater.com and click on the virtual shows banner, and that's where you can actually donate some extra bucks. Please, please, please support, please. All right, let's go back to our storytelling show, Awkward Teenage Years, and our next storyteller is a Will Clegg. And Will is actually filmmaker and storyteller, and he live in New Jersey City. No shade in that. You may have seen him at the Moth and the Magnet Theater and other several recent virtual shows. So please follow him because he's telling his beautiful stories everywhere. And he's also creator of this show, Awkward Teenage Years, and I can even call him a father of this show. So please welcome Will to our digital stage, the greatest, the amazing Will Clegg.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in tonight. So when I was 14, my parents were really pushing this outdoor leadership camp on me called Wilderness Ventures. And I had no interest in that whatsoever. I didn't like camping or hiking or being outdoors or anything. Things that I was interested in at that time were cigarettes, playing terrible music with my awful band, and being a jerk to my parents. That was my three main interests. And so they just kept pushing and pushing for me to do this thing. And I kept pushing back until my best friend at the time, Nick, went on one of these trips. And while he was there, he was gone for a month. He's writing me letters. This is like 1994. So he's writing me letters and sending me photos. And it sounded like he was really having an amazing time. So I decided, all right, you know what? Next summer, I'll do it. And so my parents and I go to the information sessions and we start getting all the gear that I have to have for the trip. And we have to buy this gigantic backpack that I'll be hiking with. And after we get all the stuff and put it in the backpack for the first time, I'm a really scrawny kid at that age, and I put it on and I just fall over because my weight can't really support it. So now I got to get in shape for this too. And so when the next summer rolls around, I fly out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming by myself. First time ever flying by myself. And I get there and I don't know anybody. There's just 30 kids. And we all have to make friends quickly. And so I kind of gravitate towards this kid, Chris, right away. Chris and I are both from the South. I'm from North Carolina. He's from Georgia. We both play soccer and we both listen to the same kind of music. So we're just like best buds right away. And then a couple other guys kind of join our friendship and we form a little clique, which is, what you do when you're in middle and high school, right? So all these little cliques start to form over the first 3 days as we all get to know each other. And then it's time to go out into the woods. And for that, we split up into 3 different groups of 10, and we each get 2 counselors with us. And the counselors are very smart. They see all the little groups that have formed, so they split us up again. So Chris and I are in different groups. Everybody's all broken up, and we have to make friends again, which is great because we're all in that mode of meeting new people, and it's fun. So we get out into the wilderness where we're going to be for a week, and we start hiking. It's very physically difficult. And while we're on the trail, we're getting to know one another a lot. And I kind of start to talk a lot to one of the counselors, this guy named Gates. Gates and I both have shoulder length, long hair at this point. We're both playing in bands. But I'm only 15. He's 21, and he goes to Georgetown University, which I think is super impressive because I'm just starting to look at colleges, and that's on the list of places that I don't even think I'd get into. And so we're talking a lot on the trail, and I think he's just the coolest guy. And he's also telling me a lot about how he lives clean. He doesn't smoke cigarettes. He doesn't drink. He doesn't do any kind of drugs. I find this like really interesting because I'm at the age where like I'm interested in all those things. You know, I'm already smoking cigarettes. I'm starting to experiment with alcohol and pot and that kind of thing. And but he's talking about it like, you know, he's got no time for that, doesn't need it. And so then he also is teaching us all these survival skills while we're out there too. So like he teaches me how to dig a latrine. We learn that we have to throw like our food at night over a strong branch and then hang it by a rope so that bears can't eat it. And then he teaches me how to start a fire with just a flint and how to cook mac and cheese for 12 people over an open flame. So, you know, a lot of good skills that I'm learning from this guy. And then and I start to see like there's a path that I could take where I could maybe, you know, grow up and be a lot like Gates. And so 7 days on the trail, we get back to civilization and we get our first hot shower in 7 days, which even for like a disgusting teenage boy, 7 days is a long time to not shower. So shower feels great. And then they send us out to just like have a afternoon on the town, kind of blow off some steam. And so Chris and I immediately reconnect and a couple other guys, and we just take off into the town of Jackson Hole. And one of the older guys says, you know, hey, you guys smoke? Because I was going to get some cigarettes. And we're all like, yeah, I smoke. Everybody smokes. Is the 90s again. And so this 18-year-old guy goes and buys the cigarettes for us. I'm the youngest person on this trip, by the way, at 15. Everybody else is like 16, 17, 18 years old. And so so he gets the cigarettes and we find like this bar/restaurant that's open, and they have a big bathroom with a bunch of stalls in it. So we all just sit in the bathroom stalls and chain smoke cigarettes until we feel sick, because we can't like bring the cigarettes back to the campsite with us. And it's disgusting. Like, I mean, it's like especially disgusting because we've just been breathing all this great fresh air for 7 days. And so it feels pretty gross afterwards. And then we have to get like some gum and breath mints, you know, to cover up the smell before we go back. And so that naturally gets us talking about like other times you have to like, you know, cover up and like stay out of trouble. And everybody starts telling stories about like getting like suspended from school, or like Chris got kicked off of his soccer team for smoking pot. I don't really have stories quite like that. Like I've just started to experiment with things, and like this is kind of concerning, you know, like I don't want to get suspended from school, and certainly not kicked off of the soccer team, the only sport that I play. And so we go back to the campsite, and as I'm talking to more and more people, I realize like we all have stories like this. And then it dawns on me, this is why my parents sent me here, to keep us all out of trouble for the summer. And this is why Gates is talking about clean living all the time. Okay, now I start to get it, right? So I start thinking like there's kind of two paths I can go down now, right? Like, do I want to be more like Gates, or do I want to be more like Chris and these other guys? And I don't know how much of that survival and leadership stuff that I really retained from that summer, but I definitely learned a lot about the sort of person who I wanted to be. So thanks for listening. I have a couple photos I want to share too, real quick. That's the whole group of us and me up on top of a mountain. And here is a couple pictures of me with some terrible t-shirts on. It's Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, if you can't quite see. Those were my jam back in the day. So, all right. Thanks, everybody.
Yay! Amazing story.
Thank you.
Of course, you had a Pearl Jam shirt.
Yeah.
Good pictures. Good pictures.
I had Rage Against the Machine, you know, Guns N' Roses, like a whole drawer full of, you know, music shirts from all the stuff that my band would play.
The longer I get to know you, the less shocking this information becomes.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it very, very much. Will, do you have anything to plug? Anything to promote?
Yes, I do. I'm going to plug our show, Awkward Teenage Years. If I can find the information. Here it is. So you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Awkward Teenage Years. If you're interested in being on our show, you can email us your pitches at awkwardteenageyears@gmail.com. And you can also watch the video of our show from the Frigid Festival that Anastassiya talked about before. It's you're not going to hear the same stories that we told tonight or even last week. It's a totally different set of stories. And right now it's available for $5. They're virtual tickets as a part of Scranton Fringe Festival's virtual social distancing festival. So you can find those tickets at awkwardteenageyears.com. And that's the end of my PSA.
Bravo, bravo. Thank you very much, Will. And let's move on to our next storytelling. Last but definitely not least, Autumn Wait. And Autumn is 20-time Moth Story Slam winner. And his Audible original called You Ought to Know Autumn Wait was the #1 new release in the performing arts category on both Audible and Amazon for 4 weeks straight. And he actually topped 5 for 12 weeks straight. So please go to your Audible accounts and definitely listen to his show. And you can also find him on audible.com/Adam Wait. Please welcome our teacher, the greatest, the most amazing, Autumn Wait.
That was a very good introduction. Oh, am I on? Is it on? It's on. He's on. He's here. What a great show to be part of. You guys are awesome, all of you. In 3rd grade, my grandfather died, and it was a really sad time for me. And the one thing that he gave me the year he died was this cranberry clip-on tie. And this cranberry clip-on tie was his favorite thing. He used to wear it all the time. And it was an older clip-on tie that he got, and he liked clip-on ties because you didn't have to do everything. And so I just loved it. And like one day, you know, I'm in 3rd grade, I'm like, can I have it? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he gave it to me, and he died a couple weeks later. So this thing became something that was very important to me. And I would wear it a lot. And I mean, I wasn't tall enough, so it kind of went down to like, not my knee, but like my quad. I mean, it was a long tie, but I loved it. And I would only wear it on like special occasions. So I wore it maybe once or twice a year. That's it. But it was in my top drawer on my little bureau, and it was there like, and it was like alone. I had like my socks on one side. I had a couple little toys and stuff, and then there was the tie. It was folded nicely. And in 7th grade, a lot of kids that I knew were having bar mitzvahs, and Craig Baker was going to have his bar mitzvah, and they were saying pretty much it was going to be like the party of the decade. And I was praying. I wasn't a very popular kid, but I was praying that I get the invite. And for, you know, I don't know what happened, but I got invited, and it was huge. I was just, you know, I've been used to listening to other kids talk about their birthday parties and how great they were, and bar mitzvahs and now Craig Baker, this was great. So it was a very special occasion for me. So I took that tie out. I got ready. I looked good. I put the clip-on tie in. I looked in the mirror with the tie. I mean, maybe like B+ without the tie, A+ with the tie. And we went to the bar mitzvah. My dad dropped me off. He said, have a good time. Yeah, I'm gonna. He's like, you're born to be wild. I'm like, yeah. Look out. And he was impressed. So we go to the bar, and there's a lot of people there. It's a fun time. Like, all you can drink, like ginger ale for kids, and I like ginger ale. So I had a good buzz going. And I don't know about you, but I like Chubby Checkers, Limbo Rock, especially at birthday parties where I'm from in New Hampshire. And bar mitzvahs, when they play Limbo Rock, people will go crazy. So we got in the line, and I was very excited, and I was there flying solo. And in front of me was Karen Donati and a couple of her friends. And Karen was a very pretty girl. And I just remember she always smelled like strawberries. Like her mother worked at the body shop or one of those places where there's like those liquids. and she always smelled, and she would smell really good. And she was looking over at me, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I mean, I can tell why you're looking at me. I got my tie, and you know, she's looking down, she sees it, she smiles, and I smile back. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then she whispers to like a couple of friends, and I mean, we're moving in the limbo line here, you know, and they start laughing. And I'm like, yeah, you know, it's fun, we're having a good time. And then she says to me, she's like, is that a clip-on tie? And they all start laughing. I'm like, no. And I was like, and for the first time I'd been embarrassed about the clip. I thought it was a cool thing. It was my grandfather's clip-on tie. So I go, no, it's not. No. And she's like, yes. I go, no, it's not. And she reaches over and she grabs it and yanks it right off of me. And the clip, you know, like it snapped. And they just start laughing, and I'm shocked. I don't know what's going on. I just wanted to do some limboing. And she runs. And I'm just like, and then my fight or flight, I started chasing her and like creating a scene or running through like the little bar mitzvah ceremony, post-ceremony party. We're going around, and then she runs into the women's room. And it was like one stall. I don't know if it was, I shouldn't say, I knew it's one stall. It was like smaller rooms. I don't know how to say this. I hadn't been in the women's room at the bar mitzvah. So we like, but she slams the door, and maybe I got a peek but she slams the door, and I'm like freaking out. And then I hear a flush and her laughing. And I know what she's done. She's flushed my clip-on tie down the toilet. And she's laughing, and she's laughing. And then I start crying, and I'm pounding on the door, and I'm like, no. And then she like heckling me. She's like, yes. I'm like, no. And I just start getting louder and more emotion, and I'm crying. And then she's like, let me out. And I'm like, no. And she's like, let me out. I go, no. And I wouldn't let her out of the bathroom. And I like barricade myself against the bathroom. And now adults are coming, like, you gotta let her. I go, no. And I'm crying, and I'm like, no. I go, no. And I'm creating a big scene. So Craig Baker's father picks up the phone or whatever in the office, and my parents relayed this message, but he's like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Wade, you gotta pick up your son. You know, this is my son Craig's bar mitzvah, and your son's being a real buzzkill. So my parents came, my father came to me, I wasn't moving, and she was still in the bathroom carrying, and so my dad like took me, he's like, we gotta go. And he's like, you know, you don't want to get arrested in a bar mitzvah here. So we left, and you know, I mean, people were, you know, would relay the story about the bar, you know, and it was awful. I mean, it was a tragedy. And I'd like to say now, you know, it'd be great to end the story saying, and now Karen Donati, that girl that did that, she's my wife. I married her. But I didn't. I'm single. We're not married. But the story's not about Karen Donati. It's about that tie. And doing my research, when I agreed to do the show, I sent a pitch, and I started looking up last night on Amazon cranberry clip-on ties, and I just want to make an announcement. I bought one for $8.65, and in 6 days, according to the tracking thing from the email, I will be getting my new clip-on tie. And I can't promise a lot of things because I might be alone when I get it, but I'm going to wear the shit out of that tie. All right, thank you.
Bravo.
Hi.
Very nice. Adam, you know, our mutual friend Justin, he likes to wear clip-on ties. And whenever I see him wearing it, I like to just pull it off.
Do you really do that? That's not nice. Very Karen Donati-esque.
I don't flush it down the toilet, though.
Yeah, I mean, she flushed it down the toilet. You know, it's just really mean. Like,
But now when you get your tie, you have to take a picture and post it so we all know that you got it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna.
Also, you need to title something "Don't Get Arrested at a Bar Mitzvah."
He's like, you don't want to get it's sad.
Adam, do you want to plug something?
Oh yeah. Well, just it's kind of neat. It's going.
Oh,
Only
you
recognize
ought to know, Adam. Wait.
Audible.
Thank you.
On
And I
Audible.
just wanted to say you're doing a terrific job hosting, by the way. And I love the plants.
Thank you very much. All right. Oh my goodness, that was an amazing show. Love all the stories, love all the energy. As I said, jewels of the storytelling world today told you a story about their awkward teenage years. And please applaud everyone. Amazing job. Bravo. Please, for the next week, we have another awkward teenage years episode streaming online on Thursday, 7:30. So please come back. And also, just follow us on Instagram at Awkward Teenage Years. And please just share love, donate, and come back to us and follow us and like us and like all the storytellers and follow all the storytellers that today introduce their stories to you. Thank you very much for joining in. Love you. Bye.